Welcome to our step-by-step guide to unlocking Liu Fei as a companion in Conan Exiles. Following up on our guide to unlocking Freya, we'll today unlock a very special sorcerer. We'll cover all perk options and each step of his quest, so if you're stuck on a particular step, feel free to use our timestamps. Then in the end, we'll also showcase all related rewards. Like with Freya, this guide contains some story spoilers, however we try to avoid it as far as possible. We will focus on quest steps, tasks and perk options, with the story being there for you to enjoy as you progress. On the topic of the story, all dialogue options you are given are purely lore. Your answers won't impact anything beyond the dialogue you are having. Before we go to the quest location, note that to start a quest you will need to have learned basic sorcery, and the first step requires you to have upgraded your tome at least once. If your character doesn't know basic sorcery, Liu Fei will simply tell you to come back later when you have learned it. If you have yet to learn sorcery, head to Shaleback Hollow in E5, fight your way into the cave of Kurak and interact with the book there to learn basic sorcery. Build a thaumaturgy bench, then upgrade your tome at least once. You will need the first tome upgrade to build a sacrificial stone. Then find some volunteers and create 3 flasks with sacrificial blood. Why? Well, beyond the required basic sorcery, Liu Fei will also ask you to bring him 3 sacrificial blood flasks for the initial quest step. So with that covered, to actually start the companion quest for Liu Fei, you need to travel to the forgotten city of Selha in the far east of the jungle. Here, close to the coast and on the south side of Dagon's Embrace in O5, you will find a weird looking plant called a Yotka plant. Approach this plant for the spirit of Liu Fei to appear. Talk to him to learn his story, then hand over the 3 sacrificial blood flasks. This concludes the first step, and like Freya, Liu Fei now requires some time for himself and won't reach out to you before 8 hours have passed. Now, for you to be able to progress to the next step, you will need to wait 8 hours. That's 8 real-life hours. However, it does not require you to be logged in nor to play the game. This is the same whether you play on an official or dedicated server, or are playing in single player. There will be multiple such quest timers during the questline. In contrast to Freya, Liu Fei reaches out telepathically to let you know he's around by voice and with a short message.
We must make haste.
If you have multiple bases, he should be honing in on where you are well established. We can also confirm that a tavern is not needed for any such visits. That said, if something is wrong or he manages to hide very well, you can always head back to the jungle after 8 real-time hours to progress with the next step. When you chat with him, you will learn that your next task involves finding the heart of a hero, the Eyes of Innocence, an ancient rhino horn and brimstone. As it turns out, 2 of those items have an expiry timer, which won't leave you with a lot of time for the delivery in case you're not living in the jungle or have access to a map room for fast travel. In short, the Heart of a Hero has a 40-minute expiry timer, and the Eyes of Innocence a very short 10-minute timer, so keep that in mind. And no, you can't deliver 1 or 2 items at a time. Liu Fei only accepts the complete package with all 4 items. So in our next few steps, we presume you live close or have access to a map room as to fast travel to Dagon's Eye. That said, we'll give you a few good options for collecting the Eyes of Innocence in the jungle. Let's start with Brimstone. If you don't have Brimstone already, there are plenty of underwater sources in the jungle. There's even one in the bay just behind Liu Fei, and you only need a single Brimstone for the quest. That said, feel free to get Brimstone wherever you usually get it, that be from the Shattered Springs or one of the many other sources. Next up, the Ancient Rhino Horn. This horn only drops from a 3-skull rhino, the Rhino King, so it's not the easiest to do alone, all depending on level and gear of course. The option Liu Fei points out is the small oasis just north of the unnamed city, though you have another option. You can also find a 3-star rhino boss at Rhinohorn Ridge just outside the south gate of Sepemeru. Once defeated, simply use any of your harvesting tools to get the drop. On to the Heart of a Hero, which drops from One Skull Treasure Seeker mini-bosses. If you're doing the Rhino boss at Rhinohorn Ridge, your nearest option is to head into the Silver Mine. The alternative is, as Liu Fei suggests, to travel to the Unnamed City where you can find several One Skull Treasure Seekers. We have marked them all on this map. With this done, keep in mind that you only have 40 minutes left to get that last item and to return to Liu Fei. Presuming you have access to a map room not far away, you can now hunt for the last item, the Eyes of Innocence, which can be obtained from baby animals. While this item has a 10-minute expiry timer, with fast travel you should easily be able to get back to Liu Fei for the delivery in time. In case you don't, then you're most likely going to be looking to slay a baby animal in the jungle area. Since the jungle is rather sparse when it comes to baby animals, a good option is the panther cub that might be close to the fast travel obelisk at Dagon's Eye, or the more guaranteed ones at the descent of Dagon. We have not checked all baby animal types, but you can expect most of them to give you the Eyes of Innocence. Just make sure to use a skinning knife or a cleaver, if not, you won't get the loot. After you got the final item, head to and chat with Liu Fei for the delivery. This triggers a new 8-hour timer. Again, that is 8 real-life hours, no matter if you play online or locally, and as well if your game or server is running or not. Once Liu Fei calls out to you again, locate him where you are and chat with him, or talk to him at his location in the jungle. At this stage, you are unknowingly presented with a choice that will affect one of the perks that Liu Fei ends up getting in the end. To put it simply, if you use sorcery during any quest step from now until the end of the full questline, Liu Fei will receive the perk Legacy of Corruption. You don't even have to fully cast the spell, simply equipping your arcane staff and starting the process of a spell will trigger it. On the other hand, if you don't trigger any sorcery, Liu Fei will receive the perk Corrupting Curse at the end of the questline when he becomes your companion. The choice is yours. For the next step, you get tasked with finding some research notes that are hidden somewhere in a spire above the Celestial Plaza. The spire you are looking for is located just next to where the yellow, forgotten city of Selha marker is on your map. It's atop the western entrance here, and yes, not easy to spot from the ground. After climbing up, you will also find that an Imp King and some of his underlings are squatting in the hideaway. Note that there's an item up here that affects yet another perk that Liu Fei can receive once he joins you, but more on that in a second. Let's find the 5 notes which are scattered around first. You can pick them up in any order. There's one on the table behind the folding screen, one on the sorcery bench, another one on the alchemist bench, one on the ground next to the stack of books, and finally one on the large shelf. Now, you've likely noticed this pedestal with what looks like a protective bubble around a book. This item is linked to a choice of perks. If you interact with it, Liu Fei will receive the perk Regenerative Stasis from your action. And if you choose to ignore it, he'll instead receive the perk Phantasmal Simulacrum. The choice is yours. Oh, before you deliver the notes to Liu Fei, make sure to read them if you're into lore, as they will be consumed once handed over. Giving Liu Fei the notes will trigger a final 8-hour cooldown, the last one before the questline's conclusion. In addition to that, Liu Fei asks you to return with a Black Lotus. If you don't already have a Black Lotus flower, you can find plenty in the nearby Black Garden in N6, very close to the spire you just climbed. This is the only place in game where you can harvest these flowers, and it's recommended to bring a sandstorm mask or similar to protect you from the poison in this area. After the cooldown, Liu Fei will once again appear in your base, so you can talk to him. He wants you to come and start a ritual, though a warning here before you talk to him. You will receive a Devil's Bone meal which has a 40-minute expiry timer, so if you're not ready for the next step, don't talk to him when he appears. Simply travel and talk to him in the jungle when you are ready for this last step. So, the reason to also bring a black lotus flower is that you will have the choice as to start a ritual using that or using the devil's bone meal that you received from Liu Fei. The ritual itself can be started by interacting with Liu Fei's circle of power close by, so that's your final task. If you choose to trigger the ritual with the black lotus flower, Liu Fei will get the perk Eternal Servitude. On the other hand, if you choose to use the devil's bone meal, Liu Fei will get the perk Demoniac Presence. Make your choice, then start the ritual. The ritual itself will spawn 5 to 6 waves of demons that shouldn't be too challenging for the average player. Once done, interact with Liu Fei a final time to conclude the story and for him to join you as your companion. He's a level 5 and like other followers can be leveled up to 20. If you inspect his stats, you can also see the perks you unlocked through your various choices. If you were wondering, yes, it's possible to unlock Liu Fei multiple times. You simply need to venture back to his starting location as to begin the questline again. It should take no longer than 1 real life hour for this reset to happen. Beyond getting him as companion, you will also unlock the knowledge for a regular and epic version of a 2-piece Khitan Imperial Wizard medium outfit. The same clothing Liu Fei comes equipped with automatically once he joins you, along with a weapon. Finally, you will also learn to craft a personal Yothka plant, which will allow you to easily gain light corruption, or even heavy corruption should you decide you want a more intimate encounter. And that was our guide to unlocking Liu Fei as a companion. If there's anything we didn't answer, don't hesitate to ask us in the comments below. By the way, your support makes all the difference, so if you enjoy our content, why not give us a thumbs up, subscribe or share this guide.